TimeEnds Radio. Oh my God. Do you guys hear that? Ladies and gentlemen, we have a 2017 graduate from San Diego State University with degree in television, film, and new media. He's won awards over the last 2 years, 7 films written and directed. San Diego-based Say Hello, My Virus says to Benjamin C. Howard. Is C for Clifford?
No, not quite.
Oh, Uncle Martin. I wish. What's the C stand for?
C stands for Caleb.
Really?
Yeah, Benjamin Caleb.
Oh, snap. I did not see that coming.
It's a very boyish name. I've always wanted something a little bit more manly. Like Ben Caleb. I don't know.
Isn't Caleb kind of redneck manly?
A little bit.
So, yeah, we're here with a couple of beers, and my name is Caleb. That's right, Caleb here. Get some. It's Miller time. Yeah,
oh, yeah.
All right. Thank you for doing this. This is awesome.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right. I would offer you a drink, but you already got one.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
Came prepared.
All right, so I got a series of controlled questions for you. I hear that you like long walks on the beach.
This is true.
And long, dark drives in dark alleys.
Also true.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Okay. Anyways, you collaborate with any local musicians.
Yeah.
Who are they?
Well, you for one. I've worked with you.
Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I powered through and I put up with it, but
Shut up! Don't tell anybody I'm crying.
Beyond you, I've worked with Jarek Centeno, who his project is Small Culture, a local indie project that he's been working on for a few years. Very talented, original, visionary musician who I really enjoy collaborating with.
Nice.
We're friends with. I used to play in a band, music with him as well, and we played with this third guy, Jorge Bustamante.
I know that guy.
Yes, you've met George.
Yeah, he never
responds to you.
He doesn't like me.
No,
I get it. I'm
well,
annoying.
He's busy also, so
yeah, I bet he is.
But I've worked with. He's written songs for at least just one of my projects, but
like a personal project, not a right.
Well, what do you mean?
Like a project that not a project you worked on with someone else?
That's correct. It was
Okay.
my project. I
Okay.
directed it, and he wrote a song for it. Yeah.
Nice.
And I was very satisfied with how that came out. He showed me this tune, and before we had even shot the movie, and I'm like, oh, that would work really well for the end of my film, and he made some tweaks, and we went into the studio and plugged it in, and that's the song that made the final cut, and I'm very happy with how it turned out.
Nice. I mean, if I was able to, I'd play it, but it's not that kind of radio show.
You'll get there.
Yeah, one day. Yeah, one day. Awesome. That's cool. So you like working with musicians versus composers, or would you prefer one composer? Like, how do you with a film?
It depends on what the film is. For my thesis film, it was a little bit more cinematic, I guess, and a little less indie, if you will. So I needed a more orchestral sound. So I worked with Tyler Rivera Stein on that. He has a more Hans Zimmer-esque capabilities that Jarek does not. Jarek is much more independent. He's he'll write you a tune, a soundtrack oriented song that you can put in, and definitely it plays. It just kind of depends on what the story is.
But like, what do you prefer, honestly?
I prefer whatever story I've written. The scripts I've written call for both types of styles. I've written these indie inspired films about people and what they're going through, and so those need fun and poppy tunes, whereas I've also written stories that are a little bit more dramatic and a little darker that need a more cinematic sound. So I would go for Tyler for that. I don't prefer one over the other. Yeah, I don't prefer one over the other.
Oh, that's crazy. I thought maybe you would. I mean, like some people would prefer soundtrack over. Like, I like scores.
What are some of your favorite scores?
Gladiator.
Yeah. Who was that?
Legend.
Who did Gladiator? That wasn't Williams.
Was it? I don't remember. I think Zimmerman.
I think it might have been
Zimmerman. Yeah, I don't memorize. It's sad.
Oh, you don't know names?
I
think I'm a name
don't.
guy.
I used to. I just don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not that. Oh, it's the what do you call that trivia guy? Oh, did you know that 1940? Like, I don't.
Right.
I don't care.
I went to trivia with my dad last night, so I was not very helpful. But
let me see. I think
it was really Scott who directed that. So
it has to be.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know who he.
Using a computer, he's cheating.
Of course I'm using a computer. You.
He's cheating on the test.
Gladiator score composer. I should have just typed that. Yeah. Yeah, Hans Zimmer. I don't know why I questioned my own. Anywho. So, with that being said, who's your favorite composer?
Well, a lot of times my favorite composer is just the guy who's done my favorite movies. So in this case, it would be, I like a lot of Paul Thomas Anderson, and his composer is typically Johnny Greenwood, who plays guitar for Radiohead. So Johnny Greenwood, I really, really enjoy. Hans Zimmer's obviously very spectacular. I like Alan Silvestri. Has a nice sound. He's done some of who directed Forrest Gump? That was Bob Zemeckis.
I wouldn't know.
Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah, Robert Zemeckis. I like Alan Silvestri's sound. But I guess Johnny Greenwood would probably be the go-to in terms of composers. But you say you like scores. I like soundtracks, I think. I like taking music that already exists and plugging that in.
I do, but I always, I don't know. I guess just growing up with the whole orchestra thing, as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
I listened to Pink Floyd. They had
Mm-hmm.
orchestra behind
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
It's just, for me personally, yeah, I mean, I get it. I like soundtrack. Like, I like, oh my God, what's the name of that? Garden State?
Yeah,
I love
that's
that
a classic one.
Love that soundtrack. One of my favorite soundtracks.
Yeah.
So yeah. Cool. So you won awards. How many awards did you win, and which ones?
I don't know. I've won a handful of stuff. I took home a New Filmmaker Award at the 2018 San Diego Film Awards. That was back in April. It was an honorary award for New Filmmaker.
Nice.
I've won Best Student Film at a couple of small festivals. One for my project Disconnect. That was a festival in Texas that took home Best Student Film. And another one at a festival in LA, Best Student Film for Sleep on It, which is another project that I wrote.
You like writing or directing? Like, what do you like? Don't say both. I will smack you.
I like both. That's a great question.
Will hit him upside the head, please.
I guess I would say directing. I want to make a career out of directing.
Directing. So if someone said, "I will give you $1 million," you either write or you direct.
Direct.
But I will give you $1 million every year. Which one are you gonna do?
I would direct.
You would direct.
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
I enjoy it more. I enjoy being the person to put it together. Not literally. You bring other people in to do all that stuff for you, but I enjoy being the person to take the script and actually bring it to life and flesh it out.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Stuff that we don't already know, and I'm talking about like. That's right. The audience doesn't know who you are.
No, they don't. Who is the audience? Are we casting out? Is this iTunes?
Whoever.
Spotify? Is this just your website?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, well.
Ben's like,
was born in SD, raised in SD, but to be more specific,
die in SD.
well, I was born in South Dakota actually, so not this SD.
Oh,
Pulled a fast one on you there.
There you go. Getting more specific.
Yeah, Rapid City. I was born in Rapid City. Lived there for a couple weeks, and then we moved to California, and I've been here ever since. Raised in San Diego in East County. Went to high school out at Valhalla High School in El Cajon. I fell in love with filmmaking.
I was going to ask you that next. Thanks.
Okay, then I'll skip that for now.
No. Answer
well,
that
okay,
question.
sure. I fell in love with filmmaking early college, I would say.
Okay.
Growing up, I remember I was always fascinated with film, with the process of putting a movie together. My brother and I would, make little stupid spy movies on my dad's Hi8 Sony camcorder, and we would download.
Like Mission Impossible Spy?
Like that kind of thing. We would download the Matrix, the green falling letters in the Matrix.
Yeah.
We would download that screensaver and put it on my mom's Windows computer.
Which they found out later it was an actual virus.
Did they really? Oh.
They're your parents.
Oh. I thought you meant they as in they, like everyone.
Oh man, that was perfect.
So we would do that, and that was a lot of fun. It was just fun to make that, and but I never, growing up, I never believed or thought that I could do something with this. Like, it was just a hobby. It was just something I did for fun. And so there was that, and then a few years later, I was still really young. I was probably maybe 9 or 10 or however old I was, and I was flipping through a People magazine, and I saw a picture of one of the Olsen twins.
Which one?
I can't remember. I don't know.
The pretty one or the ugly one?
Are they? Are they
The left or the right one?
the blonde one or the
blonde or?
One of the Olsen twins, and they were eating ice cream at an ice cream parlor somewhere in L.A., and it was just a paparazzi photo, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want my photo of me eating ice cream in People magazine. I want to do that.
But as a director?
No, I decided right then and there I wanted to be famous, and I guess the only way to do that would be to act.
Oh.
Because back then a 10-year-old doesn't know directors, except for Spielberg maybe. They know actors. They know big A-list actors like the Olsen twins. So I saw that, and I just wanted to be well known. So I told my parents, I said, I want to be an actor now. And long story short, that did not come to fruition. Nothing came of that. So, but the interest in filmmaking and acting and storytelling always kind of lingered with me. I played football all throughout high school. That was my life for all throughout high school.
So you were just like a jock, or?
I don't look like a jock, so
That doesn't matter what you look like.
Well, jocks I usually think are a little big, more burly.
And you think wrestlers are tall and big, and look at luchadors.
What
They're
are
short
they?
and stocky.
I guess so. Well, yeah. Yeah, so I hung out with the jocks. That was kind of the clique that I spent most of my time with, just because they were my teammates, so I was with them all the time.
Right.
And that's what I was into. I was just into football. That was my whole life. And then after high school ends, football ends, and then I start deciding, well, what do I want to do? I still have this lingering interest in storytelling, and then my senior year I had written this short film asking my prom date to prom, and people really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed putting it together, so I kind of realized, I guess maybe I could do this seriously, and that's when I just decided, I guess that's what I'll study in school, and I got into it and just fell more and more in love with it. And
so that's what got you into the industry then?
Well, I guess it was that short film that I wrote and directed for my prom date. That was kind of the...
What did it? That was like the cherry or the camel. The straw.
The straw? Yeah, a little bit. I was... Yeah, that was it. I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. I mean, the other thing is there's nothing else that I want to do. Like, I don't want to do business. I don't want to do finance. I don't want to do anything else. I just want to make films. I want to be involved in that process.
Nice. Okay.
So,
real quick, what are your favorite films? Top of all time, not with Billy, not last year's or last week's, but like something.
10 films from last week.
Yeah.
Something that you watch you will watch and you'll forever watch, something like that. Like
Sure.
2-3 films.
Well, yeah. So I mentioned Paul Thomas Anderson.
Mhm.
I guess I have to say Boogie Nights. Boogie Nights changed my life. Changed everything.
Changed
for
a lot
me.
of people's lives.
I bet. So Boogie Nights definitely.
What about it? Like the way it was shot, or is it because it's a time period?
Well, I love period pieces, so that
Yeah.
might have been part of it.
Okay.
Really enjoy period pieces, but I came to find out that I guess I really enjoy character studies too.
Mm.
I love character-driven films as opposed to plot-driven films. And what Boogie Nights did was it showed me. I loved the story that was told, and I loved the way that it was told. It was just different from what I'd seen before, and I realized, oh my gosh, I want to make a movie just like that. That's what I want to make. And then I started watching all of his other films and started realizing, whoa, this is what I want to be like. I want to make films just like this. So Boogie Nights, and then beyond that, I would say The Master is kind of the other P.T. Anderson movie that I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
So The Master, and then I guess one more, I would say Children of Men is really timely. Just what it's about is very timely, but also the way that was shot, a lot of long takes, really, really just well done. Really
Okay.
well done.
What style of writing do you do and why?
Oh, style of writing. Can you be more specific?
Yeah, like you do character, do you do sci-fi, do you do dark comedy,
I
horror?
do character-driven dramas, I guess.
Dramas,
You know,
yeah.
I'm still young, and I'm still finding my way as a writer, and finding what I like to write about. But dramas and movies about people and their experiences. And I guess to an extent you could say, well, all movies are like that. That's what every movie's about. And I guess that might be true. But
Well, it's the same thing with music. Like, there's only so many chords and combinations.
Sure.
But you can just make it your own.
right,
Yeah.
right. And I mean, so I don't know. I like to really dive in and really get intimate with a character and try to show what they're like really deep inside. And so that lends itself to writing dramatic stories.
Mm.
I like specificity.
Specificity. What?
Specificity. I like specific points of view. So when I think of a character who's like just this really niche, like, oh yeah, what would that guy be going through on a day-to-day basis? That interests me. So sometimes I'll just start with a character and I don't know what the story is, or I'll start with a location and I don't know what the story is, but I want to set it here. And then the story kind of grows from there.
I see.
And most
Yeah.
of the time they're dramas. I don't know how funny my writing is, so it's hard to. Comedies are impossible to write. They're the hardest genre to write, so I don't write comedies because it's too hard. And then horror movies don't do a whole lot for me, and sci-fi doesn't a whole lot either.
Yeah, well, that's a different topic. You hating Star Wars. I mean, not liking sci-fi.
Right. Yes.
So, what's harder, getting started or being able to keep going? What do you think is harder? I mean, I know you're still fresh out of the pot.
The film school.
Yeah,
game.
whatever you want to call it.
That's a great question. What's harder, getting started?
Or being able to keep going.
I don't know. Probably being able to keep going.
Really?
I mean, anyway, you could sit down and write a story, and you started. And it's whether or not you follow through and make the story, turn it
Nice.
into a film, or if it's a book, publish yourself or whatever. And then from there, write another one, make another one, keep making films. I think that's the harder part.
Yeah.
Anyone can write a story. Storytelling is a very universal thing, So it's the persistence and the dedication to keep it
To
going.
just finish it.
Yeah, that I think is harder.
Okay. So, it is kind of like a dark question, I guess. Oh, not dark. Not yet. It's getting darker.
Okay.
When inspiration is diving headfirst into a dark abyss, you feel creatively. Sorry. What do you do? Like
Repeat the question.
when your inspiration, you have no inspiration. Let me just rephrase it because I typed this a long time ago.
Okay.
I'm going rogue on my own questions.
Okay.
So like you're rolling, right? You got an idea, a story, and you're writing, and all of a sudden your inspiration just dies. What do you do? how do you finish? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
How do you? Because you want to make films.
Yeah.
And you started this film making process, and you're inspired, and all of a sudden, just one day it switches off. Like, what do you do as a filmmaker?
I go to the next project. I would pick
So
up.
you literally just move on to another
I
project?
don't move on. I switch gears. I was listening to a little podcast. Jordan Peele, who wrote and directed Get Out.
I love him.
Oh, you know Jordan Peele?
Of
yeah,
course.
Yeah,
I
he's
quote me.
mainstream.
No. I love him.
He had 4 or 5 different scripts that he was working on, and he kind of just was doing them, and then he settled on one and kept going, and that one ended up turning into Get Out. You know, so he had different things that he was working on. I guess I'm kind of the same way. If I'm going one direction with a script and it's just not it's not going where I want it to, or I got nothing left, then I'll go to something else, or I'll just stop writing. There's no point in sitting in front of your laptop sitting and not doing anything. I mean, that's for me draining and mentally frustrating and creatively exhausting. So you just stop, give it a day, a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever it takes, and either pick up a new script and keep doing that, or
Do you suggest doing that? Like let's say you hit a block, or whatever. Do you suggest just start something else automatically, or
no?
whatever?
I think ideas have to come organically. Like,
so don't force it.
I wouldn't force it, because then it's too contrived. It's not an authentic idea or an authentic character or storyline. You're forcing it, and I don't think forcing it lends itself to good stories. Like when I have when I have assignments in school, those scare me, because it's like, oh my gosh, I have to come up with a story. You can't just make up. I'm sure people can. I'm not talented enough to just come up with a story on the spot. I have to. A story just kind of forms itself organically, and I'll write that down one day, and it'll sit for months if it needs to, and then eventually I'll pick it up and be like, okay, well, let's see what I can do with this. But that it has to start somewhere. You can't just go. You can't just force it.
Okay. Now, how much with filmmaking do you have to compromise because of financial restrictions, or even businesses around you?
Businesses around me,
like locations and stuff like that.
Good question. When I was in school, I would spend whatever it takes, because I just want to get the movie made. And then, since it's got my name on it, I'll spend whatever it takes to see it get made.
Right.
That being said, you're in school, so equipment's being provided for you. You can tell people, oh, I'm a starving film school student, and they might take pity on you and give you a donation here or there.
So you play the pity card.
A little bit. You have to, kind of, You've got a crew that's essentially working for free because they're getting a grade, and so they've got something invested in the project as well. Mm-hmm. So a lot of things are provided for you at little or no cost. But when you're working outside of school and you're making shorts, that's a great question. I don't know how short films get paid for unless they're just simply being paid for by the person who wants them to get made. What was the question getting back to, so I can circle back?
So how much you have to compromise as a filmmaker?
Right.
Yeah, because of financial restrictions.
Sure.
Or even businesses. Like, for example, like the park. You want to shoot at the park and it's perfect, but you can't either A, afford the permit, or B, they won't let you, and you throw more money at them and they say no for a location.
I think ultimately the goal is just to make the film.
Right.
And you might have this perfect location, this perfect vision, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be exactly what I want. But ultimately, when an audience sees it, they don't know what your original intent was. They just see a park. So my suggestion would be, find a new park that you can afford, that's actually feasible. You don't need to... You should be able to compromise. I think some people might say, don't compromise. Stick to your vision.
Yeah.
You should do that as much as you can, but ultimately...
Be realistic.
Right. Just make your movie. Just get it done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what is the one mistake most filmmakers make, regardless of experience, whether it be students or someone that's been in the game for 50 years? That you know.
Someone's been in the... Well, if you've been in the game for 50 years and you've made a career out of
There's
it,
a common mistake
you're
everyone
doing,
does.
You're doing something right.
Either way, there's something like, continuity or
well,
whatever, anything. What's the one mistake filmmakers make? It could be anything. Something that you notice that's a trend with filmmakers. By all means, take your time.
That's a hard question.
You thought this was going to be easy? Come on.
I can think of specifics to certain age groups, but like what's something...
Okay.
I guess I have a hard time relating to someone who's been in the industry for 50 years.
Well, okay.
I wouldn't know what things they're doing wrong.
Based off of what you've learned in school and, what they teach you and what you've noticed in films.
Kind
of take that.
I can discuss short films. So if I'm talking in terms of short films, I think a lot of filmmakers spend time telling a story that doesn't need to be told.
Right.
Maybe that sounds a little pretentious, but I think there's a lot of movies where it's like, why did you spend your time on this? I don't know. What's anyone getting out of this?
Right.
And which is fine, I guess.
Like serving a purpose.
Yeah, I think your films should have at least some appeal to some sort of audience, but
okay.
I think life is too short to waste time making bad movies. If you're a filmmaker,
that's an interesting statement because how do you know it's a bad movie? Like a good movie for you could be a bad movie for everyone else. Kind of like The Room.
The Room is universally known as a bad movie,
but he didn't think it was a bad movie at the time, right? Like he thought it was an award-winning. I thought it was great. All of you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure a lot of the crew on that film was probably like, "What is this? What are we making and why?" But they didn't care because they were getting paid. When it comes to what Tommy was doing, that's a good example. I mean, was it a waste of his time?
Was it?
In the moment, if I was Tommy, maybe I'd hopefully realize what is this story? I don't know what's going on here, but ultimately it worked out for him, as we all know.
Can you imagine if his plan was for it to be as big as it is now because they made a book that they made a movie out of? Like that was his master plan the whole time. Can you imagine that?
That's a evil genius.
Yeah,
plan.
I kind of feel like that's what
that could have happened. Sure.
I really think he planned it out. I did some research.
Are you serious about that?
I'm 100%. I did some research on him. He's not an idiot. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah.
I want to read Disaster Artist.
You read it, right?
I've read it.
But that's based off of his friend or the guy that his friend, right?
Both.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I read some interesting things about him. How he's so.
Strictly off his friend.
Yeah, and how he's so. No one knows much about him or anything at all, really. He's very private. He's like Maynard from Tool. He's very private. They say he's highly intelligent, so.
I guess I believe it.
It's possible it's all a front or a facade, whatever you call it.
Sure.
I don't know. I mean, I read this so. All right, just a couple more questions.
Sure,
I
go
don't know
for
if,
it.
If you're.
I've got time.
Oh, you got time. You guys are. I gotta fire these guys in a second. All right, so quick question: why do you think there are so few women in filmmaking? You didn't see that coming, now did you, Ben?
Ooh, hot button. That's a good question. I think it stems from just who's in control.
Easy.
And who they're
Careful
and
what you
who
say
they're-
now, Ben.
and who they're putting in control.
Oh,
Typically, who's in control are men,
right.
right? And
It's like
they're putting
everything else.
and they're putting other men in control. I know that the industry is not in that state anymore, or it's certainly leaning away from that.
Right, slowly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
slowly, but it is.
Yeah,
and
they're all dying out.
Well, yeah, I guess
Literally.
you put it that way, maybe. So I guess, yeah. Does that cover that question?
I'll take it. I don't care. So how do you know when your story's finished and when to walk away? I asked, who asked this? Did I ask you this already? No, I'm asking you now.
Well, define story. Is that your final cut, or is that your script, or?
I asked Billy that. I asked Ludi that. Yeah, you're writing a script and you're 100 pages into it. You know, that's 100 minutes essentially, 110 minutes, whatever. How do you know you're done? You reach the end, but you feel like you can add some more in the middle. You know, like how do you know you rewrite a script? You're reaching the script, right? Thank you for the music. How many rewrites do you have?
Jeez. Well, thank you for the music's a 15-page short.
Okay. A little publicity here, but go ahead.
I wrote one version of it and did a few drafts, and then I scrapped that version and kind of did a new version, did a couple drafts, and then finally rewrote a separate version. So I'm on version 3, draft 7. So I've probably done a dozen drafts of this.
Is that normal?
Story? I think so. I don't.
Is that too much? No. Yeah? Yeah? I want your guys' opinion. God damn, that's a lot.
We need to
of
mic
risk.
them up. They're like the sidekicks.
I know. You know what? Next time I think we're going to do that. I'm going to mic you guys up. This is funny. Okay. Wow.
But that's a short film, and you can spend time really tweaking a lot of that stuff, I guess. I've never written a feature.
Why not? After all this time, I mean, if I look at your IMDb, you guys can find him. I mean, you got 8 credits for shorts, it looks like, 7 for writing, and that's not including what you haven't posted on here. I mean, how many?
I guess the only things that are on there are things that I've made that I want to broadcast.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So you have these here on top of how many have you written that are not public?
Any of the scripts that I've written that aren't on there haven't been made yet.
Mm.
Or like that prom thing, I'm not going to put that on there.
Right, but you made it.
I made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've written...
What my point is like, I'm surprised you haven't even started, at least.
Sure. Well, yeah, I've started.
I'm giving them a hard time.
But the process is daunting to me. It scares me to death to try to write a feature film. So I've been kind of putting it off, and I've just written shorts. I've done as many shorts as I can.
Kind of, you feel like you want to get your feet a little more wet?
A little bit.
More experience, so you know what not to do when you do your first.
Kind of. You learn
sense.
something from every project, so I'm hoping to learn as much as I can. And then, you want to write something with the intent of making it, and I don't think I have the resources quite yet to actually make a feature film. It just costs a lot of money, and
I can't even imagine after what I've learned in this business.
Yeah, it's tough.
All right,
But
well, my last question. So we hear so often about the lack of original stories in the world. Okay, the thing that we've all seen it before, right? How do you stay fresh, and how do you stay original? Like, how are you? You know, we mentioned it before. Like, everything, you can only do so much, and everything's been remade. But like, how do you stay original? Everything's a love story. Everything's dramatic or whatever. You like drama, so like, how do you stay original?
I mean, ultimately, most movies can be broken down into formulas, and you realize, every movie is essentially the same thing.
Kind of like the hero's journey.
The hero's journey type of,
Yeah.
So there's that, and that lends itself to seeing a lot of movies that are that feel similar, I guess, in their journeys. But when it comes to originality, I think finding new perspectives to tell stories from is the key. Moonlight wins Best Picture a couple years ago, and some people might say, "Oh, it's just a movie about a gay dude," but it's like from this very specific point of view. Mm-hmm. It's a gay black dude who's growing up in this Florida neighborhood, so it's the specifics of the perspective that I think are going to lend itself to seeing and hearing stories from people that we haven't heard before.
So it's really up to the consumer and how we take it.
A little bit. I mean, you see how popular Marvel Studios are doing, and to me, all those stories feel very, very similar. But
It's because they're old. That's the thing. They're from a different era, you know. So a lot of stories and that we're watching now. What is it? 2018. Were written in like when Marvel come out, like the 50s, 40s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean 80s. I mean look at Batman versus Superman. That's a story that was written 30 plus years ago.
The script was, or just
The story.
The story.
The story itself. So people are like, oh, it's a fight between two, So that's what it is, I think, with that. That was my 2 cents.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
Originality is taking what already works, but then putting your own spin on it. I mean, like Shape of Water.
Love that movie.
It's just a love story, right? Between two creatures.
Well said.
But
well played,
isn't it?
Yeah,
but he, the writer
he added that twist.
Adds certain elements.
Let's not kill it.
What makes it right? What makes it? Yeah. So that's originality, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. Well, dude, I appreciate you doing this. It was sort of fun. No, I'm kidding.
I had a blast. This feels very legit. I want to do more.
Yeah, I actually want to interview some other people. I'm thinking of interviewing Jorge if he's down.
I'm sure he would be more than happy to do that.
Nice. All right. Well, once again, thanks, Scott. Thanks a lot for doing this again, everybody. Benjamin C. Howard.
Thank you.
Is there a website you want to tell everybody they can go to, or
you
not
can
yet?
find my work on Benjamin C.
And that's all the time we have. No, go ahead.
It's benjaminchoward.com.
All right. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.